Hi viewers, today I want to do a talk on man-made rough, how the colours and the material determines how you design your stones. Just a quick run through what we got here. Now there are many types of man-made rough. I only have a selection of different types, but there is many more out there. Now over this side we've got the CZs. You've got man-made quartz, we have Corundum in various colours and spinel in various colours. Now the Corundum can come in lots of different colours, and what colours determines what sort of price you pay. The simple colours like the clear, the red ruby, the pink ruby is very cheap because the additives that they add to change the colour is not as expensive as the blue is, and the yellows and the greens. Also the materials they add to the recipe of how they make it determines how well the crystal grows. One way to tell if it's Corundum is the balls are usually split depending on the growth method. It's done to release internal stress after the crystal has grown. So if you usually see a split ball, it's Corundum. The spinels usually have whole balls. You can see on this one it's sliced. Now spinel I like because it's slightly cheaper, but again, depending on the colour depends on how much you pay for it. The blues and the greens are not too much, but some of the other colours are much more expensive. The man-made quartz, we've got two different types. We've got the fused quartz up the top here. Let's see if we can get into the shot just better. Fused quartz and hydrothermal quartz. Fused quartz is basically the powder is squeezed together under high temperature and squeezed together into a clear form. Hydrothermal quartz uses a bath of quartz in solution with various colouring agents, and they put a clear piece of quartz to start this, what they call the seed, to start the process off, and the colour grows onto it. Now see on this one it has the clear quartz at the bottom, on the edge, correction, in the centre. Now I always thought if we designed an eye design so that the pupil is in the clear bit and the outside edges of the eye is in the orange of this citrine, it would be a good one. One day I'll do that. Now we've got amethyst, and you see this one's a particularly dark amethyst, so that determines what sort of stone you cut. You have to really cut a smallish stone to get the colour out. There's a citrine and the green. Now the green is a very nice green, I like it, but in the rough there are bands, and you have to cut the stone so that the colour is on the bottom of the band. I don't know if you can see it on that. We'll have a look. There are other man-made quartzes. There is, in the hydrothermal, there is a darker citrine, there is clear, there is smoky in various shades. So there's quite a selection. It cuts just as well as normal quartz, as does the Corundum and the spinels. But the Corundum does tend to have some soft spots in it where you can overcut quite easily. Now the CZs. We have the pinks up here, and you see there are two different tones of pink. There is a purpley pink and a pink pink. Now it all depends on the recipe and the makers of where these come. Now we have an apple green and these red oranges. Now the red oranges is hard to spot the difference between the red and the red oranges, but in different lights the red orange is more orange than red, but the red is more like raspberry red, strawberry red. Now we have clear, purple, greens. Now in the reds we got the cherry red, a slightly darker red, a slightly darker red, and a real dark red. Now there is another red, this is a cut version, which is a garnet. Now this particular garnet red is just too dark, you just can't see through it, and you get no sparkle out of it. But these other ones should come up quite nice. I must cut. But see, in the red we have a raspberry red and a darker red. Both my designs, by the way, but that's beside the point. And you got the red orange, and you can really see it in this thin bit of the orange, and that colour does come through in certain light, particularly sunlight. Now the yellows, we have a slightly darker yellow, a canary yellow, and a pale yellow. And there are other yellows out there. And the purples, we have a dark purple blue, or a blue purple, which is what they sometimes call tanzanite CZ. And then we have the amethyst CZ, which gives you a nice amethyst colour. Now there are darker purples and lighter purples. Depends on the manufacturers and the colours. Now in the greens we have a dark, what I call bottle green, but it comes out a nice stone. Sorry. And we have what I call an olive green in various shades, but I have seen it under the name peridot or peridot, depends on how you pronounce it, doesn't it? And we got what I call peach colour and a golden orange. I haven't cut that yet, but it should be quite nice. Now the peach colour, the golden orange, I cut my Lest We Forget stone out of that colour, and I would call that more a bronze colour than anything. This is a good example of how you design to certain colours to certain stone designs. Like I wanted a bronzy colour for that, and that came out quite nice. The greens, an emerald cut or an emerald style cut comes up quite nice in it. The citrines and the amethysts, again, like I said, this amethyst is very dark, so this you really need a shallow stone, but not too big stone to get the colour out. Same with this dark red in the corundum. You really need small stones to get the colour out, otherwise it'll be too dark. But apart from that, it's just picking the colour you like and cutting it to suit. I particularly like the clears CZ, which gives, because that's the traditional diamond simulant, which gives nice sparkle in a clear stone, but so does the white sapphire, which is quite common nowadays as a diamond simulant. And you can get some nice bright stones out of the clear corundum, and decent sized ones too. But with the CZs, as you can see, they have many colours to suit other stones. Like I said, the tanzanite, the amethyst, the rubies colours. There's also the blues, like I forgot about the aqua and the hydrothermal. compared to the aqua and the fused quartz. There's not really much difference between the two of them, in the hydrothermal and the fused quartz. Oh, that's what I forgot to give. I did have, sorry. There is a spinel, an emerald cut spinel in that green. In fact, it's in this dark green. And that came up quite nice. I like that one. This other green is more a lime green. Now, hopefully you can see that. Some stones and some colours, you get a rind effect where the colour is concentrated around the rim of the bull. Now when you cut those, you cut so that the culette, the sharp end, is on the bottom in the dark colour, because that way the light will come down through the colour and back out, and that's where you get the colour from. But if you want a lighter green, you can cut it the other way, and you don't have the rind, cut the rind away. Now you also see it in that light blue, and you can see in the blue sapphire as well. The good thing about the hydrothermal green does that a little bit as well, but the others seem to be quite consistent in their colour all the way through. Same through almost all the CZs are consistent colour all the way through. Now I find some designs, like my illusion design and my rocket ship, works well in the orange red, but simple, not so simple actually, designs in the plain red is quite nice, or the darker red, the canary yellow or the pale yellow. It all depends on what stone you want to cut and how you want to cut it. Now the CZ, you can always tell it's CZ because it's very dense material. It's very heavy for its size. The corundum can be the same, but it's not as much as the CZ. The CZ is much denser than the corundum or the spinel or the quartz. Now there are other man-made materials out there, but I just don't have them. There's YAGS, which is yttrium type garnet. There's crystallinite, which is a man-made gem, and there are several other brands of gems, as there are several other colours in these type. The hydrothermals, the spinels, the corundums, the CZs, the quartzes. There are much more artificial stones out there. And people ask, why do you cut man-made stones rather than the natural stones? And the answer is so simple as money. A decent emerald, a decent citrine, coloured citrine, or a decent amethyst, you can be paying up to $5 a carat, whereas the CZ can be 10-20 cents a carat. The spinels and the sapphires are expensive, relatively. They can be $1 to much greater than $1 per carat. And it all depends on what colours they are. Like I said, the dark blues and the blues in the corundum are very expensive because the material they use to colour it inhibits crystal growth, so they're very hard to grow a decent blue sapphire. I prefer spinels because they're cheaper and it's just as hard. Now the corundums and the spinels and the CZs, because they are relatively hard materials, you're looking at 9, an 8.5, an 8.5 or an 8, which are good for making rings. The softer materials like quartz and crystallinite and moldavite and even paste glass are softer, are not suitable for rings because they're too easily scratched, whereas the sapphire particularly is very good for rings, but the others are quite good for pendants and earrings. But sapphires are quite good for rings, the corundums and the spinels. And the garnets, the man-made garnets as well, because they are not reasonable hardness. Now, I hope this was interesting for you people, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and share.